Good afternoon. Well, it's been an absolutely glorious weekend. Unfortunately, I've spent the entirety of it inside, so I've got a couple of hours today that I can spend outside, so I'm going to see what I can do. So last week I cleared this section here and I did explain the big plan in that, so I'll put a link up to that in the top corner if you've missed out on that. But today I'm working on stage 2, which is to fill this area up with soil. So the soil itself is coming from over here. So I've got this brick shed here that I want to rebuild at some stage, but the soil level is far higher than the floor of the shed. So the idea is I just want to start from the entrance there and work my way around the building, digging out the soil and dumping it over there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be getting on with. So let's get digging. Found a horseshoe. Is that good luck? Right, well I think I'm going to call it a day at that. After 2 hours of digging, my back is starting to complain. But I wanted to get round the corner today, and I'm really pleased because I got well and truly round the corner here. But I have found a few interesting things whilst I've been digging. But one of the most interesting things that I found is actually the layers in the soil here. So if you look, that bottom layer there, that's a bit more of a yellowy colour. I think that is the original soil level, so I think it just sort of slopes down from there. You've then got this layer on top, which is a lot more gravelly. So I don't know if that's been added as drainage, been added as hardcore, like a path around it, or if that's just what's naturally washed down the hill here. You then got this layer here, which seems to have a lot of rust in it, which is strange. But there's lots of little pieces of metal. So things like that nail there, for example, that I found in that layer. You then got the dark layer on top, which is what I'd expect. That's all the leaf litter that's built up over the years. And then this sandy layer on top, again, I'd expect that. That's the mortar. Where the brick wall fell over, all the mortar fell out. So the sandy layer makes sense, but that rusty layer does seem a bit strange. But I am finding some interesting things. We can do a little bit of live exploration here, because a little bit of a glass dish there. And then down here, that looks like a bottle. Oh, it's tough. It won't come out. Come on, bottle. There we go. There we go. Brown wine bottle. But that was quite buried, didn't there? So I've still got some more digging to go. But the other things I found whilst I was digging, so obviously the nail that I showed you, I found one of these snare traps. Now, it's all rusty and won't work, but to be honest, that's the best thing for them, because I think they're absolutely horrendous tools. But quite interesting to see. Now, I did find this, and I thought with a sloped end like that, that might have been a chisel. But then I found this section as well, which seems to attach to it, so I think it might have been a file, but then I don't entirely know. But that was an interesting lump of metal I found. Now, I found this egg. Now, this is a fake egg, so I think they use these if you've got chickens and you want them to lay, you put them in a nest to inspire them or something like that. Not entirely sure because I haven't kept chickens, but that's why there's fake eggs. Found a bone, yeah, another bone, and I found a little glass bottle. Oh yeah, and I found a horseshoe. That's rather rusted, so I don't know if I'll be able to clean that up, but it's nice to find it. But yeah, so I'm going to go and have a well-earned rest, and then tomorrow, if it's dry, I'm going to carry on digging and see what other treasures we find. Well, it was incredibly wet overnight, but it's dry now, and although it's rather windy, if I can get another hour of digging done this morning, that'll be absolutely excellent. So yeah, let's carry on. Right, well I'm making good progress, but I'm going to stop there for now because I've got some other stuff I need to do. If I've got time at the end of the day, I will come out and do some more, but I've cleared at least a metre there, which I'm really pleased about. But yeah, let's go and have a quick look at what treasures I found this time. So there wasn't as much as last time. A lot of what I found was just rusty lumps of metal like this. I did find another bone. Some of the rusty lumps of metal I think came from this, which is, well, that looks like a handle, so I'm thinking that was some sort of trunk. Didn't have any buried treasure in it, unfortunately, but that is a really interesting handle to find. I did find some of this green netting, so that is shade netting that they would have used on the greenhouse. Now, I have no idea how much of it is under there. I just tore off the section that was in the way, so that might carry on up the hill, so I'll have to explore a bit more to find the rest of that. But the most interesting thing I found was this sign. Now, I've cleaned it up a little as best I can. There are a couple of letters missing, but I've got D-I-S-P-A, I think that's a T, C, and then a H. So I think that says dispatch. So we've got D-A, I'm not sure if that's a V or a Y. So I'm not quite sure what the first word is, but I'm pretty sure that second word is dispatch. So yeah, that is really interesting. But yeah, like I say, I'm going to go and get on with a couple of bits. If I've got time, I'll come back to this afternoon. But if not, I'll pick this up when I carry on with the last section, which I might be able to get done in one day. So yeah, see you in a bit. I wonder if that says daily. D-A-I-L-Y. It would fit. Daily dispatch, makes sense. Oh well. Right, well it's 4:30. I've got about an hour, so let's see how much I can get done. Right, well I think I'm going to call it a day because it really is getting a bit too dark. It's not too bad in the rest of the garden, but underneath the laurel here I've got no light, so I'm going to stop digging. And to be honest, I think I'm going to stop digging for this video anyway, because the aim of the video was to fill up the section over there, which I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, obviously I will at some point continue this trench around the back of the shed there, because I want to rebuild this brick shed without having soil piled up against it. But yeah, before I show you over there, let's go through the treasures. So there wasn't as much in this section. There's a lot of broken concrete and boulders, but I thought the concrete was interesting because that shows it was clearly filled in deliberately and not just stuff that's fallen down the hill. But yeah, found some asbestos, I found this rock here, which as a rock is nothing impressive, but it seems to have more of a chalky surface to it, which I think is interesting because it's not like the rest of the rocks here. The rest of them are, I think, are granite, but yeah, found that interesting. And I found quite a few bones here as well. So we've got a few vertebrae there. I think that's a shoulder blade, and then we've got this jawbone. Now I'm pretty sure that's a sheep jawbone because it's got a few teeth at the front, which I think they use for nibbling the grass, and then the teeth at the back that they use for grinding the grass up. So I'm not concerned about it because it clearly is some sort of animal. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, let's go and show you over there. So I've been taking all the soil up here, around here. You can see I've been leaving footprints where I've been walking through here. But yeah, up across here. And then I've been dumping it all down the side of the shed here. And at first, there's only a narrow path here, but now I've got a nice, good 3 foot wide path there that's nice and solid. So when I come to adding the wood chip down there, that can just build up like a compost pile. But obviously it's not going to take any weight. This section that's going to be taking the weight as you walk through is actually soil and compacted, so that's good. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you left it a like. Next video will obviously be me doing something to this laurel so I can then start building the path. So yeah, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. And I shall see you later. I'm really impressed with how much I've managed to get done in about 4 hours. I mean, okay, it was over a couple of days, but that's a lot of digging. But not to forget this bit at the front here as well, because it did go all the way up to the doorway there. So yeah, I'm pleased with that.